And let's start the last session for today, which is a very important session. But we're only going to deal with one thing, and it is that we're going to look at the proposed Beijing Call for action, and we will make a commitment to this important and urgent public health threat that we have with TB and drug resistance. And that commitment will be through endorsing the document you have in front of you, the call for action. This call for action will give you and us directions and catalyze and generate action at community, country and global levels. So it's an important document. And let me now ask President Sampaio to introduce this document, Beijing Call for Action, and explain the very thorough process that has taken place to prepare this document through a very comprehensive consultation with all of you and also other experts representing countries, technical expertise, civil society and other stakeholders. Please. President Sampaio.
Well, good afternoon, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the very interesting afternoon which I witnessed. We have in fact heard much from leading figures and experts about the magnitude of the challenge that we face with MXDR-TB. The evidence is devastatingly clear. We must act urgently or pay the consequences later. Our task during this session is to forge a consensus on the way forward, to identify and commit to key actions, and to establish a roadmap for international collaboration among stakeholders. A key outcome, of course, is this call for action, which has just been mentioned, precisely to catalyze national efforts to prevent the spread of MXDR-TB, with an emphasis on access to quality treatment, management and care for all forms of TB, prevention of transmission, health system strengthening, respect for human rights and scientific innovation. So this call for action is now before you. It reflects inputs gathered over the past few months through what I would say a well-planned preparatory process involving 3 rounds of electronic consultations as well as a face-to-face meeting and a formal communication from our Assistant Director General, Dr. Nakatani, sent to participating ministers of health in early March. This call for action will make an important contribution to the debate on MDR and XDR-TB during the World Health Assembly in May 2009, helping achieve an even wider base of support by engaging all 193 WHO member states. So there is a process going on. It started with consultations, now we have this appeal here, then we have the General Assembly. Before opening the floor to the discussion, let me highlight some of the key features of the call for action. Firstly, the challenge is real and is growing. The ability of health systems in affected countries to cope will be severely undermined if the problem is left unaddressed. The call for action recognizes these facts and provides statistics to set the context. Secondly, it outlines the key causes of MXDR-TB and barriers to effective management of MXDR-TB. Thirdly, in response, the call for action focuses on a number of commitments to accelerate efforts to prevent MXDR-TB through effective TB care, and I repeat this, and control, and to scale up diagnosis and treatment, including the need for resource mobilization and more research and development. And lastly, it spotlights the need for coordinated action among all committed stakeholders nationally, regionally, and globally. Together, member states represented here today, and especially those affected by MXDRTB, have produced a forward-looking plan to guide future collaboration. Before confirming your support for the call for action, I would like to ask the Chair to open the floor to any comments. I stress that this, as in all similar occasions, this has to be a kind of a living document. It is not a deliberation by an international body. It will not be binding any specific government. It's a call for action per se, introducing the need for a process which will continue in other instances and in other frameworks. So, Mr. Chair, could you kindly get on? I might have to go out and come in. I apologize beforehand, but while that does not happen, I will stay here with pleasure. So, thank you very much for your attention. Please.
Thank you very much, President Sampaio. And I will now open the floor for comments and, of course, endorsements, since this is your document. And as President Sampaio was saying, it's a living document. It's not a legal binding document. It's a living document that will show the direction. So I hope we can hold this discussion in a constructive and positive spirit. Please. Any comments or endorsements?
We like to endorse this draft document, but in 4H, if you can add a para after the written para, for achieving the MDGs, it is essential to support developing countries to establish manufacturing plants for production of combined preparation of anti-TB medicines, which meet WHO pre-qualification to ensure efficacious and adequate drug supply for the prevention and control of MXDR-TB. If this is included, I think some of the developing countries can start manufacturing the drugs as per the, as we are trying to do that.
Thank you from Bangladesh, that amendment. I would suggest when we have these longer amendment, if you can provide it up to the chair here in writing, we will look at it and we will read it out when we have taken all the comments. So if you can submit it here to the chair, we will come back and read it back to you and see that if it's an endorsement to include it. Any other comments?